Good afternoon to all the end-up board members led by our President, Professor Zenaida Velasco. So my presentation is on breakfast in the Philippines, food and diet quality as analyzed from our 2018 expanded National Nutrition Survey. I am Imelda Angeles Agdepa, the project leader of this study, the director for and scientist for of the FNRI DOST. So throughout the years, a significant amount of literature has supported the beneficial effects of breakfast consumption. Several studies have consistently recorded a broad variance in breakfast contribution to nutrient intake and diet quality in different parts of the world. Yet, in the Philippines, there is limited information about breakfast consumption. And breakfast is often regarded as the most important meal of the day. Palagi natin sinasabi yan, o kumain ka ng breakfast kasi yun ang pinaka-importanteng pagkain, no, sa isang araw. So may mga saying na ganon. So eat like a king at breakfast, a queen at during lunch, and a pauper at dinner. So talagang sinasabi natin na talaga ang breakfast ay importante. Now, for Filipinos, breakfast is more than just the morning meal. It is deeply woven into the fabric of Filipino culture and tradition. It's the start of a day full of good food, from lunch, followed by merienda or snacks and dinner. So tayo lang ata yung merong 5 beses kumakain sa isang araw. Ano po? So 3 big meals, tapos in between, sa morning may snacks at saka sa afternoon may snacks ulit. No? So, however, a typical Filipino diet in a day consists of about 3.5 cups of cooked rice, no? 1 matchbox of fried and half cup of boiled vegetable per day. Now, and these are usually consumed during the 3 major meals of the day: breakfast, lunch, and supper. So the rationale and significance of this study, which is actually breakfast, the most important meal of the day, research has pointed out that nutrients that are unattained during breakfast are not compensated by meals in the later day. Now, thus stressing the importance of breakfast consumption in meeting daily nutrient requirement. Now, so you have the literature there. And the reference. So the conduct of this study in its findings could help to inform the development of nutrient-based recommendations for a balanced breakfast for the first time in the Philippines. Improving one's breakfast intakes is an important step towards improving the nutritional quality of diets in the general health. So as I said, this is actually the first study in the Philippines taking into consideration the contribution of breakfast to the total day's meal. So the quality of foods taken during breakfast could indeed contribute in shaping one's diet quality. Therefore, the objective of this study is the overarching objective is to determine the regularity and of breakfast consumption and breakfast quality based on food, energy, and nutrient intakes of Filipinos. Now, data from the 2018 Expanded National Nutrition Survey was extracted for the analysis. So there were about 63,655 individuals, comprising of about 14,013 for school-age children aged 6 to 12 years old, 9,082 adolescents. This is actually age ranging 13 to 18 years old, 32,255 adults, age ranging from 19 to 59 years old, and about 8,305 elderly, 60 years old and above. So we have a lot of samples. It's about 63,655. So a 2-day non-consecutive 24-hour food recall was used to measure food and nutrient intakes. Dietary reference values were determined based on our PDRI, or the Philippines Dietary Reference Standard, in 2015. Now, diet quality was measured using nutrient-rich food index 9.3. This is actually a tool. And the NRF 9.3 is a validated measurement tool to determine the nutrient density of the total diet. This is just like also the HEI, Healthy Eating Index. So the determination of nutrient density score for the NRF 9.3, so it is calculated by the sum of the percentage daily reference values of the 9 nutrients that are recommended. So this is actually the protein, dietary fiber, vitamin A, C, D, calcium, iron, potassium, and magnesium, and then deduct or minus the sum of the percentage of the DRVs for 3 nutrients to limit, that is actually sugar, saturated fat, and sodium. So you can see here actually the good nutrients and somewhat the bad nutrients. It's not actually bad though, it's if it is actually consumed in moderation. So the highest NRF score for each of the 9 recommended nutrients is actually 100, of course, giving a total of 900. So the closer the value is to the maximum score of 900 would indicate better quality of the diet. Participants were divided into tertiles based on NRF 9.3 score for each group to investigate the associations between breakfast nutrient intake and overall diet quality. So our key findings. So breakfast results from the analysis, of course, reported that majority of the Filipino population, about 96 to 98%, regularly consume breakfast. This strongly identifies that breakfast is an important meal for Filipinos. As stated in previous literature, regularity of breakfast consumption and meal times were closely related to healthy diets and healthy lifestyle habits. This could actually play an important role in providing adequate nutrients. So only 2% of the younger population, or age groups 6 to 12 and 13 to 18 years, were breakfast skippers, while 4% for both adults and elderly. So nutrient composition of breakfast in relation to daily intakes and daily adequacy. So you can see here, this is actually a table. That's actually the mean plus and minus SD, or the median plus and minus the interquartile range of nutrients for the total day, and breakfast for the total population, and nutrient intakes of breakfast for those in the tertile 3 of the NRF. That's actually in column 3. So if you can see here, the energy, the daily intake should be 1,794. And the breakfast intake was 426. Those belonging in the tertile 3 is actually also 494.9 or 495. So it's good, right? And the protein, almost the daily intake is 60. Our intake for breakfast is about 12.9. So those in the tertile 3 were actually only having 18.1. So if you, and so on. So you can see the different nutrients here with the recommended intake for age ranging 19 to 59 years old. So you can see that the breakfast in tertile 3 are somewhat lower, right? Yeah, the further it is from our recommendation, the lower is the NRF score. So based on table 1, the present study revealed that vitamin C, that's actually 3.5 milligrams, dietary fiber, only 1.9 grams, vitamin D with only 0.8 milligrams, and calcium with only 80 milligrams, zinc 1.39 milligrams, intake were poorly consumed during breakfast. So even Filipino adults classified under tertile 3 still had inadequate intakes for the aforementioned nutrients. Vitamin D is also notably low. Considering that the Philippines is near the equator, this means that dietary consumption for vitamin D significantly affects one's level. So that means to say, if you cannot get your foods, your vitamin D from foods, then we have to expose ourselves under the sun. And the best time of the day to expose ourselves under the sun to get our vitamin D for 15 minutes is actually 10 to 12 o'clock noon time. And for the daily adequacy and contribution of breakfast to daily intake, so the 187% daily adequacy for zinc is high. And what makes up bulk of zinc intakes were from lunch, snacks and dinner. It is just that the breakfast intakes for zinc is lower compared to the other meals of the day. And based on table 2, the one that I presented just now, Filipino adults were revealed to have inadequate dietary fiber, only 27%. Vitamin C, 33%. Vitamin D, 58%. Folate, 54%. Calcium, 42%. And iron, 54% intakes. So these are actually the problematic nutrients. Moreover, vitamin C, that's actually about 19%, and folate, 15%, were also the nutrients that were poorly contribute to one's daily intakes. Even Filipino diet or Filipino adults classified under tertile 3 consume poor amounts of aforementioned nutrients. Filipinos have low vitamin C intakes because of poor consumption of fruits and vegetables or any other fortified products. Now, nutrient intakes at breakfast in relation to diet quality. Filipino children and adolescents under tertile 3 were associated with higher intakes of energy, total protein, total carbohydrates, fiber, and micronutrients, except of course sodium. So as compared to tertile 1 and tertile 2. Now, while Filipino adults and elderly, those consuming breakfast classified under tertile 3, exhibited higher intakes of energy, macronutrients that actually carbohydrates, protein, and fat, the MUFA, the PUFA, total fiber, and all micronutrients except sodium, compared to tertile 1 and tertile 2. Now, participants classified under tertile 3 still did not meet the Philippine dietary recommendation for following nutrients, which clearly represents an opportunity for needed improvement, like vitamin C, calcium, fiber, and potassium. So, for the nutrient composition, according to NRF tertile, you can see here that this is actually very small. So mean energy and nutrient intakes, breakfast, and children by NRF score in tertiles. I'll present this in the succeeding slide. So in table 7, results showed that cumulative trend of energy intake at breakfast across NRF tertiles. There was really a significant trend in all nutrients across NRF 9.3 tertiles at breakfast among children, except for total fats and saturated fat. Now, increasing consumption were observed across NRF 9.3 tertiles for all nutrients, except of course for PUFA, MUFA, sugar, and sodium intake, which had a decreasing trend. Now, mean energy and nutrient intake from breakfast of adolescents, So let me summarize this in this next slide. Consumption of total fat, saturated fat, BUFA, PUFA, total sugar, and sodium declined across NRF tertiles, while other nutrients significantly increased. Now, for this, for adults, you can see here that for adults and elderly groups, tables 9 and 10, both groups had the same results, which was all nutrients, including energy intake, showed significant increasing trends across NRF tertiles. Now, total sugar, sodium intake decreases from tertile 1 to tertile 3. Results emphasize that the consumption of population group in tertile 3 consume more essential nutrients such as vitamins and minerals, but less intake of sodium, total sugar, and total fat. So the most commonly consumed food groups at breakfast. So you can see here in tertile 1, you have about 51% are consuming other cereal products. Rice, of course, because we are rice eaters, 49%. Sugars, 27%. Powdered milk, 11%. Chicken, 6%. In tertile 2, you can see here that rice is 80%, chicken egg, 31%, other cereals, 24%, powdered milk, 24%, and fresh fish, 16%. And now tertile 3, rice is at 76%, cacao or choco base, 27%. Masarap ito, no? Cacao. And then chicken, 26%. Other cereal products, 19%. And the fresh fish is 17%. So this figure, most commonly consumed foods of children at breakfast by tertiles NRF 9.3 score. So these are actually for children. Now let me move on to among adolescents. No, for adolescents, they take coffee, 57% for tertile 1. Other cereal products, 43% for rice, sugars 30%, chicken egg 6%. And tertile 2, you can see here that about 81% are consuming rice, chicken, egg is about 30%, and then coffee 29%, sugar 21%, other cereal products 19%. Now for tertile 3, this is actually the better one. So rice is 70%, the best one, no? So 77%, fresh fish is 22%, chicken egg 22%, other cereal products 17%, and cacao and choco-based beverages 17%. Now, let's take a look on commonly consumed foods of adults at breakfast. No? So, of course, in tertile 1, 85% take coffee. Other cereals, 47%. Sugars, 32%. Rice is 29%. Chicken, egg, 7%. For tertile 2, rice, 76% are consuming. Coffee, about 6%. Coffee was actually consumed by 62%. Chicken egg, 26%, other cereal products, 24%, and fresh fish, 19%. For tertile 3, this is the best. So rice, 78%, coffee, 39%, sugars, 30%, fresh fish, 27%, other beverages, 21%. For elderly, like us, no, like me. So first is coffee is about 85% for tertile 1, other cereal products 47%, sugars 32%, 29% for rice, and chicken egg 7%. For tertile 2, 75% are consuming rice, 62% coffee, 26% chicken egg, other cereal products 24%, fresh fish 19%. And for tertile 3, 78% consuming rice, 39% for coffee, sugar 30%, fresh fish 27%, other vegetables 21%. So commonly consumed foods at breakfast in relation to diet quality. Now these results show that majority of the Filipinos regularly consume breakfast. Yet the breakfast they were consuming reflected a meal of poor quality as per NRF scores. And you can see here, no? So age 6 to 12 years old had an NRF averaging to about 417, followed by the elderly 347, adolescents 340, and adults 330. Our aim is actually 900, right? So these are actually very, very low. So these results were reflected in the breakfast consumption of food groups as higher intakes, fresh fish, chicken, egg, fresh meat, green leafy vegetables, and other vegetables, and lower intakes of rice, coffee, sugars, and other syrup products were found among groups under tertile 3. Now, when considered together, the poor food choices at breakfast are likely contributing to the suboptimal intake of some nutrients at this meal, which could be improved by the higher consumption of fruits, vegetables, fresh fish, fresh meat, and of course milk, and lower consumption of refined grains, coffee, and sugary products. So indeed, results in this study revealed that emphasis should be given on the consumption of nutrient-dense food groups, and which were among the least consumed. These are actually least consumed by the different population groups. Now, implications of the findings for developing a Southeast Asian breakfast consumption. Recommendation. Based on the findings obtained, it could be suggested that nutritionally adequate breakfast must be consumed by Filipinos, since breakfast comprises the most important meal of the day to provide energy for the day's start. Now, consume a healthy breakfast by including nutrient-dense foods such as fruits, vegetables, whole grains, fresh meat, and milk to provide at least 20% of the daily energy and nutrient intakes. Now, how can we have this kind of breakfast if most of our population are food insecure? So that's actually a great challenge for all nutritionists, dietitians to connect with agriculture scientists for the food, for a very good food supply chain. So conclusion, this study revealed that majority of the population are regular breakfast consumers. However, breakfast consumed by Filipinos were found to be of poor quality, and even those classified under the best, or we call the best already, that's a tertile 3, which were assumed to having a better quality of breakfast, were still found to have nutrient inadequacies. So what is really needed for us is to converge together, work together, both government and non-government as well as industries, to actually provide a more affordable foods, to make it more accessible to our Filipino population, and connect ourselves with those who are actually producing fresh fruits and fresh vegetables by actually planting in empty containers or in the backyard or front. No, you can actually plant in between your your flowering plants some vegetables. So think of simple but doable actions to provide fresh fruits or fresh vegetables and fruits on the table. Thank you so much.